welcome back to Aubrey Books and Coffee. Please grab your favorite beverage of choice and join me. We're at the end of May, everybody. Oh my gosh. Is it just me, or was it like the longest month ever? I mean, ever. I had a blast doing Escape the Readathon, Team Detectives. I hope you guys had a good time too. Let me know below if you ended up doing that on Lexie's channel and what team you were on, and if you had a good time. I hope you did. I'm taking a break. Next month, I am taking a break. I know the amazing readathon with Bree from Four Paws in a Book is going to be going on, but I just can't. I need a break. I went like all blazes to try to help my team, and I am just tired. So I think I'm just going to relax. I did end up doing a total of 24 books this month. Woo! Which equaled about 9,163 pages. So with 24 books to review, we better get going. Some stats real quick. With those 24, I ended up having a total of 2 5-stars. I had 6 4-stars, 12 3-stars, and 1 2-star. And of course, that does mean I had 3 DNFs, unfortunately. But that gave me an overall rating of 3.5. I'm excited by that. That's still really, really good in my book. I am really happy with that. So I'll take that as a win. For the genres, of course, the most genre I read in, of course, was fantasy, followed up by romantasy. And I had a couple of romances and even a nonfiction. Go me. The format, of course, was mostly audiobook with some physical and ebooks, naturally. And I borrowed mostly from Hoopla this time. Like I said, Libby and Hoopla kind of go back and forth with, of course, Libby coming up close. And then look at me with all of my net galleys that I had as well. My shortest book read was only 152 pages, and that was Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. And the longest one, not surprising anybody who knew I was buddy reading this with Tina, was 1,219 pages, and that's Brandon Sanderson's Rhythm of War. So yeah, it was a big month. There was a lot happening. So going now book by book, starting with that Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, I ended up giving this a 4 stars. It was, I want to say cute, but murdery. It had some very disturbing content in this. So I would say definitely not for children. And make sure when you go into it, it's going to be graphic. It's going to be a little hard to stomach at times, and it's all done by these cute little woodland creatures. So what are you gonna do? I will not be continuing this series, but I'm not mad that I read it. Obviously, I gave it a 4 stars. And for those who are really into murdery type things, but more like Dexter kind of murdery things, I would recommend this for them. Then I finished Our Infinite Fates. I gave this 3 stars. I really, really, really wanted to love this. It had a gorgeous cover for Book of the Month, and even more gorgeous cover for Owl Crate, which means it is up for grabs for you guys at least. Unfortunately, it just didn't do it for me. The time hopping wasn't so bad. I didn't mind that. You had chapters that were supposed to be present day, and then chapters that kind of followed these 2 lovers throughout, all the different eras throughout the world. And then it would bounce back and forth, which I didn't mind that so much. What I minded is that we never really knew why it was he kept trying to murder her. And it was just kind of a weird situation. It felt weird to me. And there were times where she loved him, but then times where she hated him, and times where, he was in the body of a sibling. I mean, it was just weird. It was just really, really weird to wrap my noodle around. And then the ending, which of course I'm not going to spoil. I don't do spoilers here. The ending did not stick it for me, for sure. It went in a totally different direction than I was expecting. So for me, it was definitely a miss in that as well. So that's why it only got the 3 star. And I don't even know who I would recommend this to be honest. So let me know below what you thought of it. Then I finished Angel's Blood. That's right. I wanted to do I'm going to say her name wrong. Sing. Mrs. Singh. I wanted to do one of her books because she was so popular at a Polycon, and I had never heard her before, so I felt like I was remiss in that. So I'm glad I picked it up. I gave this 4 stars, really had a fantastic time. I am 100% continuing this series. It was amazing. I even put it on my wheel that I spin for my series vlog because I want to make sure I get to it, and I do highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun. Then I finished Slaying the Shadow Prince. I gave this 4 stars. It was so good, you guys. I love Drew. I love the relationship between her and the, male lead, if you will. I had a great time being again in Thesmar. I love that world from Blood and Steel. I love that we got to see Wilder, who's in Blood and Steel. He was in this one too. And I just really enjoyed their relationship. I enjoyed their banter, and I had such a good time with this. I hate that it's a standalone. To be clear, it's a standalone in a series where different authors write one-offs and they all go together in theme, but it is a standalone. And so I'm like, no, I want to see these characters more. So maybe they'll show up in Legends of Thesmar series later on, and I just haven't met them yet. I'm hoping that's the case. Then I finished Needy Little Things. This was my book club for this month, and I gave it 3 stars. It had very important messages that were being said, and I always appreciate that. However, the ending for me felt very kind of forced. It didn't feel natural, like it would actually happen that way. It felt like the author needed to tie it up, and this was the best way she thought to do it. And I hate saying that because I know this was a labor of love for her, but I just couldn't get behind it. It just wasn't for me for sure. Probably not going to lean heavily into the YA for future book club picks, just because sometimes they can be a real miss, and I want to make sure everybody's having a good time in my book club. Then I finished A Caribbean Heiress in Paris. I gave this 3 stars. The pacing was so slow and at times so boring to me, which is sad because I really enjoyed the main female lead. She was amazing. She had knives strapped to her thigh, for crying out loud. Like, she is just really kick butt. But it was just so boring in places, and I just couldn't get behind it. And this was for one of my library book clubs. And when we met and talked about it last week, several people were like me and were just like, the pacing just wasn't there. Probably not going to continue the series. I know it follows her sisters and stuff, but we're just not interested. And sadly, that seemed to be kind of the general consensus. There was one person who did absolutely love it, though, and I'm glad, which further proves there's a book for everyone and an audience for every book. You just got to match the two up. Then I finished The Last Ferry Out. This was a NetGalley arc I got. It was very slow. Nothing really was happening, which again is so sad because the premise sounded so cool. She loses her fiance, and so she wants to go and see what happened, what were her last, days there were like, and what went down. But it was so boring. It was just so boring for me. I just could not do it. So it got that 2-star rating and is unfortunately a miss for me. Then I finished House of Light and Ether. I ended up giving this 5 stars. I absolutely had a fabulous time. This was the finale to the series, and I have a vlog that you should have seen by now, I hope. That kind of goes into more detail about this and chronicles how I was throughout it, but I had such a good time. I'm sad to see it ending because it was such a good time, and I'm 100% going to be reading more from this author. Then I finished Gothic Town. I gave this 3 stars. This was another NetGalley arc that I was blessed with. It was very creepy, and I appreciated that, but it was more weird than scary, and it was very, very slow pacing, and it wasn't exactly what it was advertised to be. So some of the main points that it brings up in GoodReads were in there, but not the way it made it sound. It wasn't really, for being called Gothic Town, it wasn't really gothic feels and vibes. It was just more strange town, strange house, strange things happening kind of a situation. But again, not the best I've read in that kind of a genre either. So unfortunately, I don't even know I would necessarily recommend it to anybody in particular. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that one. Next, I finished Circe. I gave this 4 stars. It was also in a library vlog. Oh, it was so good. You guys, it was so good. I am not a fan of Song of Achilles. I think I gave it a 2 or very low 3 stars. So if that tells you anything, this one though, chef's kiss. It was so good. I don't know if it was the story was more compelling to me, or if it was just the voice and the way it was told, but oh my gosh, I was in it from start to finish. I had a great time, amazing pacing. Beware of trigger warnings. Definitely beware of trigger warnings and look those up, but I had such a good time and I love it so much and I recommend it to everybody. Then I finished A Promise in Fire. And this one I gave 4 stars as well. It was so cute. I am 100% going to be continuing this series. I think it was so fun. It's a very popcorn kind of read. It goes quick and easy. You've got a dragon and you've got a fae, and Adara, who's the fae, doesn't really have a lot of power, so she's an outcast. She accidentally wakes up a stone dragon, and that's our, I think his name was Enar, if I'm remembering correctly. But anyway, the banter between the two is fantastic because when he wakes up, he realizes this is his mate, but he hates Fae. Like, the dragons hate Fae. And she has no clue. She has no idea what's going on. And so it was just really sweet. And you find out a lot of secrets that have been held against Adara and she didn't know. And of course, there's politics and stuff in the world as well. And it was just so fun, though. And I had such a good time and cannot wait to read the next one. Then I finished The Courting of Bristol Keats. I gave this one 3 stars. I think it was way longer than it needed to be, which is unfortunate because it really dragged out that pacing, especially after that halfway mark. And I think that kind of ruined it for me. It had moments that I absolutely loved, and I loved their banter, and I had such a good time between Bristol and Tigan, and the trials. I'm always a fan of trials as well. But because it was so long, especially when it started getting towards the ending and it wasn't the best ending for me, I'm not continuing the series. I'm going to treat this as a standalone and I'm going to be done with it here. But I can definitely see people that I would recommend it to just go into it knowing there's going to be a whole lot of nothing in between the really good moments. Then I finished The Gilded Cage. This is book 2 in the Prison Healer series. I gave this 3 stars. I love the characters. I do. I so love the characters. And the first one, especially at the ending, blew me away. Unfortunately, there was too much fluff that was happening and it slowed down that pacing and it made it kind of boring for me. And I wasn't wanting to pick it up. And I did it because of a vlog, but yeah, I decided not to continue the series. So I'm sorry, don't come at me. I know the Prison Healer series is beloved by so many. Loved the first one so much. This one, not so much. So I'm done here and I'm going to walk away because there's just too many, guys. I've got like 59 series I need to read. So I have others I need to pick up and I'm just not continuing with this one. Then I finished Sweet Obsession. This is book 8 in the Dark Olympus series. I gave this 3 stars as well. Very spicy between Icarus and Poseidon, and I had a good time. It is the kind of series it is, and for what it is, it's very well written and it's wonderful, but I'm just over having something spicy happening whole chapters long and things like that. But I did get this as a NetGalley arc, so I wanted to make sure that I did read it for my percentage. And I do think Katie Roberts is a great author. I really do. It's just not for me is all. Then I finished The Book That Held Her Heart, and this is the finale in that library trilogy that's done by Mark Lawrence. I got this as a GoodReads win, which was fabulous. Thank you, GoodReads. Gave it a 4 stars. I had a good time with it. I think they wrapped up everything that needed to be wrapped up, and I thought the pacing was well done. I had such a good time, much better than the second book, so I'm glad I did continue. May not have, unless because I won it, I did it, but yeah, I would recommend this trilogy. By the way it wraps up and stuff, you won't have any questions at the end. At least I didn't. And I had a good time and I would highly recommend it. Just know it's high fantasy, so prepare yourself. Then I finished The Quickie, and this one was different than I expected. It was kind of a wild ride, to be honest. It seemed like I knew what I was going to be expecting by the synopsis, and then it has a small twist in the beginning. And then you're like, oh, okay. And then you continue on, and then there's another twist. There's another twist. I gave it 3 stars because I was done with the twist at the halfway point and thought, that's great. We're going to wrap this up. And then another couple of them got thrown in there that I thought weren't necessary to the story. It didn't really add anything to it for me. And so I felt like Patterson was just really wanting to make us go, oh, but instead I went, yeah, okay. What next? So I just got to where I didn't care anymore because it's such a short book. So with that many twists in such a short book, it just felt unnecessary and it just took me out of the story and I was no longer invested at that point. So that's why I got the 3 star. Then I finished another NetGalley arc of Plus Size Player. I love Danielle Allen so much. Curvy Girl Summer was fabulous. This one I gave 3 stars. Wasn't as good as Curvy Girl Summer for me. Had really good spice, so just prepare yourself. It is a spicy book. It was fun, but unfortunately, I don't know if it's because of the romance and the way it was set up between the two characters. She's a plus size model. He happens to own a business. If it was just their setup of their jobs and relationship that I didn't like, or if it was because it felt more insta love, and I'm not always a fan of that. I don't know. There was just something, and the pacing felt slower and kind of repetitive at times. So for me, it was a 3-star read, but I still love this author so much, and I love the writing style, and I would still highly recommend this. And I am going to continue the series because this is the second book in the series. I will absolutely continue reading it because I love, love, love her. Then I finished Rhythm of War. And like I said before, this sucker was over 1,000 pages long. I enjoyed buddy reading it with Tina. I hope she'll read Wind and Truth with me, which is the next one. We had a good time. We enjoyed doing the spoiler tags and chatting. Anytime you guys want a buddy read, hit me up. Let me know. I love buddy reads. Had a great time with this. Of course, 5 stars. And oh my gosh, it was all the things. It had us crying. It had us angry. It had us laughing. It was so good. There's not a whole lot I can say because it's book 4 in the Stormlight Archive series, and I don't want to give anything away because if I say, oh, I loved seeing blah, 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 do blah, 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 well, now you know that they survived in book 3. So it's like I really can't tell you a whole lot. I'm sorry, but it is really good. And just know that for being high fantasy and being such thick books, Sanderson's doing an incredible job of keeping us right there and desperate to know what happens on the next page, which I think is just an incredible amount of writing skill to be able to do that. So hats off, Brandon Sanderson. Then I finished Perfect Ruin. This one I gave 3 stars. It was an interesting concept of living up in the sky, and you don't want to go near the edge because you might get entranced and want to, fall or jump or whatever. It almost felt like it was a story that was about classism. And it had a lot of secrets and things, but like not even halfway in the book, something pretty big happens. And from that moment on, the book felt like a totally different book and not at all what it had said on the synopsis that it was going to be. So I felt like I was hooked in by the beginning part and then really didn't care the second half of the book at all. So it did not stick the landing for me. I was not invested in it. That's why I got the 3-star, which is unfortunate because it has a gorgeous cover. And yeah, it was a really cool concept. Just for me, it was a miss, unfortunately. Then I finished City of Gods and Monsters. And this one I gave 3 stars. It's over 700 pages long. I think if they had broken this up into 2 books, I actually would have rated it higher because I really had a good time and really loved the characters. Unfortunately, and it felt very much like Crescent City almost to me. Unfortunately, because it was so long, the pacing, as always, got a little mucked up and a little slowed down and a little choppy in places. I still really enjoyed the characters, but because this was book 1 and it was this big, and I know the next one's going to be even bigger, I'm out. I am not adding it to my series list. I am not continuing the series. I'm going to treat this as a standalone, even though it does have a cliffhanger at the end. I enjoyed the ride for what it was, but not really for me. And again, I don't know who I would necessarily recommend this to. I would say if you liked Crescent City, but you're wanting more monster diversity and you're wanting more politics and you're wanting more of that high fantasy feel than Sarah J. Maas gives, then I would say this is for you and to pick it up and see what you think and just know the pacing can be really slow in places and just go for the ride with that. So with that, there are 3 left that I have not mentioned, and that is Don't Go to Sleep. I DNF'd it. Of course I did. This one was my Goodreads pick, or like my list on Goodreads that had the lowest rating. So I guess it's not totally surprising that I ended up DNFing it. It was so boring for having to do with a hatchet man who's going around killing people. I was incredibly bored. So it was a miss for me and I had to stop. Then I DNF'd The Locked Ward. This one was a NetGalley. I hated to do it, but it's written in second person. And I cannot do second person. And I didn't know it was in second person, or I never would have even requested it. I can't do it. It drives me crazy. I'm sitting there, I'm washing dishes, or I'm driving the car. You walk into a room and you sit down at the table. You notice that the nurse is walking towards you in a strange manner. No, I'm driving to pick up my kid from school. So for me, it was a miss. Then I DNF'd a Forbidden Alchemy. I just thought it was boring. I got about 15% into it. Maybe it picks up after that, and I DNF'd it too quick, but it was another NetGalley, and there were just so many books I wanted to get to that I just didn't want to keep being bored, so I DNF'd it. So with that, that's all the books. Thank you guys so much for being here. Please like, subscribe, send your friends, and I will see you all next time. Oh, and let me know what your favorite book was of the month.